Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. So today I'm doing bite-sized portions of my makeup look that I was wearing. This is the one that I was wearing during Ask Ali as promised. So you're going to see little sections and I'm going to explain application, and I hope you enjoy it. So thank you in advance for watching. So first on in, I'm starting off with Flawless Filter in shade 4, dotting that all over my head and then buffing in as usual. And that gives an excellent base for the Flawless foundation because it just counteracts the matte. Now I'm mixing Magic Vanish. First of all applying shade 3 in tan and then applying shade 2. It's a perfect mix for me. So I dot that all over in places that I've got discoloration and under my eyes. And then you're going to see that I just sort of stipple it so that I just blend out the edges so that there's no harsh lines and I don't see any bits of orange popping through once I apply my foundation. Okay, so next I am going to be using a mixture of 7.5 warm and 7.5 neutral of the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. It always works out a perfect mix for me. And I'm dotting it around my head, as you can see, and around my face, and then blending it in with a brush that's very similar to the Hollywood brush. Now you'll see I'm stippling where I put the colour corrector and then swiping where I did the rest. And then I'm actually using the foundation again as a concealer. And wouldn't it be great if Charlotte brought out an Airbrush Flawless concealer in a dispenser rather than that horrible Magic Away? And then you're going to see a blast from the past. And this is the Mini Miracle Eye Wand, and it's in shade 2. And I love using this for my marionette lines and also for the lines on my head to throw light on them. Okay, I'm going to leave you watching that and showing you all the lines that I've drawn on my face, and freeze for a minute because I want to explain the next bit. Now, if I put the Airbrush Bronzer straight over the top, the foundation is a little bit, it's not dried down enough, and I find it just doesn't work too well because it's just too sticky on with the foundation. So I feel like I need to dry down the foundation a little bit. So I've developed this technique, which is to actually use the loose Airbrush Flawless powder, and I make it loose by stippling the brush to make it kick up in the pan and then applying it with a beauty blender, just pressing it into my face. And here it is. I'm doing it now. You'll see I start to stipple on the top so to make it kick up. And so I've got the loose powder then on the top, and then I'm going to then press it in with a beauty blender, and I'm going to leave it there. Now, I've just frozen again because I just want to explain this. So I'm leaving that there, and it's kind of a semi-bake. It's because it's not loose powder, it doesn't look quite as bad. And you may be wondering why I didn't use her loose powder, but her loose powder doesn't actually mattify the skin as much, and it doesn't dry out the foundation as much. So that's why I do it with the airbrush. Okay, so I leave it there as though it's baking, and then I go in with the Airbrush Bronzer in shade 1. And then when I'm applying that with the airbrush, I'm also knocking off any excess flawless powder, Airbrush Flawless powder. So it really works quite well. And then afterwards, you're going to see that I'm using the excess that was remaining on the brush of the airbrush powder to kind of just go down the T-zone again and make sure that I don't end up with any shiny areas. I hope that all makes sense, but I'm going to put a little summary of everything I've done in steps in the description bar. So I hope that helps, but do ask me questions if there's anything that's not clear from this. Okay, here we go. So here we go, applying the bronzer in shade 1 and at the same time knocking off any excess of the airbrush powder, which I used in shade 2, but you could use shade 1 if you want. And Then you'll see there I am using that brush with the excess airbrush powder to just go down the bits that get shiny. Okay, and then I'm going to apply the shade Tan Bronzer to bronze up my face. In all the usual places. And then I'm just showing off my skin so that you can see what the finish looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the eyes, and I'm going to use the Huda Matte and Melted eyeshadow, which you know I love, and I'm just dotting it. So this is French lace and diamond drip, all the details below, and I'm just dotting it 3 dots and then blending it in, and then 2 dots under the eyes and blending that in as well. Now I'm going to freeze again for a minute because I'm going to tell you the next bit. Now this is such a good technique. It's a bit of an Instagram trick, but it's great if you've got hooded lids and you want to cheat bigger mobile lids, okay? And it's basically, I've shown it a couple of times before, but it's basically when you put the liquid on the bottom of your lid and then you look up and you let it transfer. Because it's going to transfer anyway when you've got hooded lids, although these ones don't when they dry down. But when you look up and do that, it gives you these huge mobile lids, and it's just also a really easy way of doing a cut crease. So shall we see this? You'll see what I'm doing, and I use where it transfers as the outline, as a little template to do the lid and where to draw the shimmer. Okay, so here we go. So I'm putting a big splodge, not too big, but a little bit, and looking up and letting it transfer. And then I'm raising my eyebrows and you can see exactly where it transfers up to. And I'm using that as a template to then do my kind of semicircle. And it really does cheat bigger mobile lids. It's such a great trick. Now, Huda suggests doing this, patting it down, because it levels out the glitter and it just makes it look so much better. So I'm going to do that on the other eye and I'll be right back. Okay, but I'm actually not using this on its own today. I'm using it as a base for the Divine Rose, the first Divine Rose palette by Pat McGrath, and just showing you the colours that I'm using there, and Jack in the background. And then you'll see the next colour. I'm just showing you my favourite one, and I'm putting that on with my finger over the metallic, and it just works beautifully. I love it, really love it. I hope you do too. I had a few comments saying you like my eyeshadow, so I'm glad I filmed this at the time. And then you will see I am using the highlighter shade at the top, and I'm just highlighting under the brow, and then I'm putting that also in the inner corner like so. And then I'm taking that lovely shade again. Am I? Oh no, I'm taking that one at the end, and I'm just highlighting the middle of my now enlarged mobile lid. Do you see how it makes it look bigger, even though you can see where the crease is and the hood, it actually isn't that big at all. A great cheat effect. And then I'm going back to my favourite shade, and I'm just putting that underneath on the kind of inner half of my underneath lash line. That's really bad English. Sorry about that, guys. And then I'm showing you I've got the blue, which is that liner that I swatched for Stacey, and I'm just putting that in my lower waterline, and it actually ends up looking like it's purple. And then I'm using my La Roche-Posay liner. And now I'm freeze framing again because I want to do a wing, and wings are notoriously difficult when you've got hooded lids. And you can see here the close-up. If I start to draw the wing, I'm immediately going to be confronted by the hood. So you basically, for doing this, you have to do everything your instinct tells you not to do. So try not, although I am a bit, try not to raise your eyebrows and relax your lids as much as possible, and then actually draw in the line so that it looks fine when your eyes are relaxed, because otherwise you will end up with a line that's all jagged. Now, I also, I don't know about you, but I have skip lines when I do liquid liner. Forget that. Don't worry about that right now because we can go back in and correct that afterwards. What's important is getting the shape, and the shape is only going to be got if you relax your eyes. And I hope in a minute I'm going to relax my eyes completely because I'm still not relaxing them enough. I can see from the freeze frame. So you draw it in as though your eyes are relaxed and you want the straight line. It's so interesting watching this back for me because my lids are still not relaxed enough. But as you can see, it's so counterintuitive doing this because you really want to raise so that you can see what you're doing. So I'm doing the line and then filling out the rest in a very thin line, okay? And then you'll see I've slowed the next bit down, right down, so that you can see there's all sorts of drag marks. It doesn't look perfect at all, but I've got the line drawn in. I've got the outline done, right? It looks messy, but that's fine. That's what you've got to do as your first step, okay? Because otherwise, if you try and tidy it up, you're going to make a mistake. And now I'm showing you Charlotte's new powder pencil in black, which is perfect for doing the next step, which is filling it all in. Okay, so now we've got our line drawn in roughly. It's now time to go back with Charlotte's powder pencil, and now I can fill it all in and smudge it out so it actually looks like a perfect line. And Charlotte often does this, by the way. It's just a really easy way of tidying up, especially if you've got crepey lids and your eyeliner, liquid eyeliner drags. Okay, and then I'm going to just show you the finished result in a minute. Okay, and then I'm showing it finished off, and then I'm going to do the mascara, and then we're on to brows. Okay, I'm going to freeze frame it again because I wanted to do kind of soap brows a little bit, kind of the way they're swept up. First of all, what I wanted to do was get all the bits of foundation off my brows because actually you'd be surprised what a difference that makes, that first little step. And then I'm going to take Charlotte's clear legendary brows brush and use that to brush up my brows and get them into place. You'll see me doing that now. So I'm really going to brush them up so they're really quite high up like that. And then you're going to see a lot of gaps appearing. Okay, a bit of a freeze frame coming up after this because I just want to tell you what I'm using next, which is my MAC Shape and Shade, which I dug out from moving, and I'm really annoyed because after filming this, I put it in my makeup bag and it dried out because the top came off. So annoyed by that, but I might have to just go and get another one because I love this. So this, I'm going to zoom in so that you can see how well you can fill in all the gaps and it looks really, really natural. So I'm going to show you an area of very sparse brow at the end there and how I just draw it in just like that. It's so easy. There is another kind of filling in bit the other side, but I never use it. I just love the pen. It's just so easy to do. Look at that. And you just, again, now it looks like I've just got hairs there. It's such a good thing. And Pixie Woo loves this. Sam Chapman. I wish I could go back in time and that lid didn't come off. Anyway, next we're moving on to the lips, and I'm using Muse by Huda, the lip liner and the matching Muse liquid lip, which you'll see coming up next. That's a liquid lip. And then I'm using Angelic Lip Strobe over the top. But I don't like to paint it all over. I like to kind of dab it on so it just gives a subtle shimmer, and I'll show you that now. So I'm going to just swatch it on my hand for you so that you see it in its full glory. It does look lovely when you put it on its own. But I'm just going to dab a little bit and then dab it onto my lips like that so you can see. It's just beautiful combo, Muse and Angelic. I really love it. And I think I'm zooming in to show you what it looks like when you just dab it on. There we go. Okay, next I decided I wanted to do a little bit of sculpting. So I got out my light to medium Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow, and I sucked in my cheeks and followed the hollow, like so. So this is light to medium, and yeah, and I did all the usual places, nose, top of the head, etc, etc. Okay, now I'm freeze framing this again for a minute to tell you that I'm about to use the bronzer again from Film Star Bronze and Glow, just as a transition shade to make sure that there's no harsh lines at the top of my purple eyeshadow. Don't use her bronzer, her new bronzer for this, it's too warm. What you need is this because it's a perfect kind of transition shade and it's not as warm as the bronzer. And I'm just going to use that. You'll see it. Just make sure that you get rid of any harsh lines from the purple, and it gives a perfect transition back up to the rest of the eyeshadow. I love that little trick. Right, let's finish off this look, shall we, with some blush. And I'm using the Giide Blush Bouquet Duo. It's lovely and peachy. I like using peach blush when I put on purple because it just doesn't overtake the eyeshadow. I think it's too much to put pink on when you've got purple. So that's what I'm using for my blush. And then I'm using my new Vitamin C Pixie highlighter because it's got the vitamin C and the ferulic acid, so it's going to protect all the high points of my face with some antioxidant in all the places where I've got brown spots, but it also just gives a lovely sheen to the face. And yeah, I just love it. It's got great skincare ingredients, and it just looks really pretty. And I'm going to put some in the corner of my eye there. And then to finish off, I'm using my La Roche-Posay Tolerian spray as to fix all of it. And then I'm showing you the finished look. I hope this has been helpful. Any questions, do let me know. And do check out the description bar where I've got all the details of the products I used. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you all very soon. Take care. Love you all. Mwah.